Montana Wilderness Association started in 1958 in Bozeman, largely as a hiking organization, but there were several meetings, statewide gatherings of that then embryonic and relatively small organization that were attended by Zahnie, by Howard Zahniser, the author of the Wilderness Act, and Zahnie was executive director of the Wilderness Society in those days. This is back in the late 50s into early 60s. And Zahnie told Clif Merritt, who told me, and I think he told other people as well, Don Aldrich of the Montana Wildlife Federation, other people that were involved in those years. And Zahnie told Clif that in nowhere did he find stronger support for the Wilderness Act than in Montana.
Okay.
And it emanated from these early founding fathers and mothers of the Montana Wilderness Association. That was the impetus. That was these people, inspired by the country down around Bozeman, the Taylor Hill Guard.
Okay.
You know, the Baldwins I'm thinking of. There were others. Were very instrumental in projecting and gathering and projecting support for the Wilderness Act, and conveying that to Zahnie. Zahnie would take that back to Washington, and I guess Zahnie was especially impressed because Montana is a relatively low population state, and yet more support coming here. No, it was coming statewide, but it was focused in Bozeman, because that was the epicenter of the Montana Wilderness Association in those days. But there were outfitters and other dude ranch owners, people from other parts of the state that were involved in the beginnings of MWA that were all part of helping to build and express support for the Wilderness Act. The other thing that is important to understand is that the Sierra Club was founded by John Muir way back in the early 1900s, and then Bob Marshall and 7 other notable conservationists from the East founded the Wilderness Society in 1935. The Sierra Club has always been very supportive, but never during all those years that led up to and after the '64 Wilderness Act, never a major force in Montana. The reason for that was because Montana had a statewide wilderness organization that was much more closely allied with the Wilderness Society than the Sierra Club. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, the MWA felt very strongly, and still does, but I think especially then, felt very strongly that it needed to be independent of any national organization, to be a bona fide grassroots statewide organization, the first statewide wilderness organization in the nation, incidentally, that it really had to show that independence and not just be on the puppet string of some national group based out of San Francisco or Washington, D.C. But all throughout, if you compare the relative influence of the Wilderness Society and the Sierra Club, the Wilderness Society was far and away the most influential outside group with respect to Montana wilderness politics, the wilderness passage of the Wilderness Act, and the subsequent amendments to the Wilderness Act that each edition represents that we've achieved here in Montana.